We're going to do something that looks like this. Okay, so we're adding sound to it, and this is it. I will start again, yeah, but this is it. So we've got a camera that pans across the three monkeys, and we use a second empty. Yeah, so we use a second empty to control what the camera looks at. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So file new. No, don't want to save that. Okay, so we don't need that. Let's add a monkey. Let's add another monkey, and let's add another monkey. Okay. Now these views are really handy, so I suggest that we use them a little bit more. Yeah. I'm going to smoothen it. Did that do anything? Let me colour it first. Okay, so let's give it a nice red colour. I'll turn up the metallic as well, yeah? And I'll rename it Red Suzanne. Okay, I'll grab it, I'll move it along the x-axis out of the way. And actually, no, I'll keep it that size, yeah? Aha, yes, it did smoothen, yeah? So we can see that it's smoothed. I'll do the same to this, I'll smooth that. Maybe once I've added, there we go, it's smoothed. Okay, so I'll make this a nice blue. Make that a bit metallic, okay, looks good, looks really nice. Let's go back here. Grab it along the z-axis, sorry, the x-axis, move that along. Let's smoothen that. There we go. Use our nodes. What color should we have this? Any color you want, guys, okay? Any color that you want, yeah? There we go, yeah? And a bit metallic there. Beautiful. Right, okay, let's rename these. Okay, just because we're starting to get a few objects in our scene now, so things can start to get a little bit confusing. Okay, right. So we've got three Suzannes. We've got a light. We've got a camera. Okay, so far so good. Now, add a Bezier curve. I want to move it along the y-axis, so I need to grab it first, move it along the y-axis and bring it forward so I can actually see it. Then I want to go S, Y, and 0. Okay, so S, Y, and 0. That will straighten it. Once we've done that, we can press N for nose. That gets up our dimensions here. Now, 2 meters is a bit too short. Okay, so let's try 6 meters. Yeah, a bit too short. 8 meters. 8 meters is good, but I want something a little bit longer. Okay, so something about 10 meters. Now, copy that. So right-click copy, right-click paste. It puts it on top of it. Okay, which is a bit annoying because you can't see it. You can't see it. So I'm going to grab it. Move it along the y-axis. Okay, there it is. I'm going to make this one a little bit shorter. Right? A little bit shorter. And we'll see why a little bit later. So I'm going to grab it and I'm going to move it back, all the way back, so that it's approximately in line in the center. Okay, so far so good. We've got 2 straight lines here. We've got 3 Suzannes, we've got a light, and we've got a camera, okay? Let's go ahead and let's just move our light. So I pressed on Z to get the overview, to get the overhead. Let's move our light, let's grab it, and let's move it down here. Then let's have a look at our render. No, hang on, how do I see where my light is pointing? How do I do that? I've got my light. Aha, I need to go into light. We'll have an area light, but I want it pointing at the monkeys. Okay, so now I can just move that around. That wasn't very successful, was it? Let me try again. There we go. Okay, so there's a little bit of trial and error here. So I'll have a rectangle, I'll have 0.5, and I'll have 0.5. Okay, so that gives us this kind of square, this rectangular spotlight. And we can have any sort of colour we want. We'll have a purple colour. Let's have a look. Yeah, it gives everything a kind of purple tint. I'm not sure I like that. Yeah, let's keep it white. Okay, you can have whatever colour you want, guys. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Okay, so out of camera view. Right. Okay, now let's get cracking. So first of all, let's file save as. Panning Suzanne is what I've saved it as. So go ahead, save your work, just in case we run into problems, and then we can always pick up from there. Now, we've looked at using our camera before, but most of the time our camera has either been static, where it's just not moved, or our camera has moved around a circle and it has been locked on one particular object. Okay, so in the last video, our camera moved around a circle and it was always looking at this Suzanne. But what we want to do, what sometimes you want to do, you want it to look at different things. So how do we do that? Yeah? Let's find out. So we need another empty, not another, we need an empty. Yeah? So that puts it there. Let's reset our camera, Option G, Option R. Hold down Shift to click on your empty cube, and right click, Parent, Object. Okay, and keep transform. Okay, like we did with the last video, yeah, the same technique. Okay, now we want, again, so we've got our empty selected, add an object constraint, follow path, it's going to follow Bezier curve. I will rename these in a minute because we've got two that are very similar with very similar names. Minus Z and Y, fixed position, follow curve. Okay, so our camera is now here. Let me rename this line. This is our front straight line. And this is our centered straight line. Okay, as we get more and more objects, as our scenes get more and more complex, we need to start renaming stuff. Now, so we've got this camera, we've got this empty. This empty will move up and down this line. Okay, nice and straightforward. But our camera has nothing to point at. Now we can change it. Yeah, we can make our camera track to, but then we've got a problem, okay, because it has to track to one of these, one and only one. Yeah, so we can track it to Red Suzanne, and that's fine, but it's always going to point at Red Suzanne. Now that's not what we want. We want it here to look at Red Suzanne, but when it gets here, I want to see Green Suzanne. When it gets here, I want to see Blue Suzanne. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, we do it with another empty. Okay, so add empty cube. Get rid of that. Now we want to add a constraint to this. This is going to also follow the path, but this is going to follow our centered straight line. Minus Z, Y, fixed position, and follow curve. Okay, so now this will go up and down our straight line. Yeah? And now it's actually quite straightforward. When it's here, when it's at 0, we insert a keyframe. We click on this, we insert a keyframe. I need to change this. So it does, let's do the keyframes first. Then move this along, move this along. So yeah, of course. First you need to move it on your timesheet. Then you can move your empty box. Let's have a new keyframe here. Okay, so let's put that. Select your second empty, move that along. Let's have a new keyframe here. So we've got 2 keyframes. Let's have a look. Yeah, so there we go. We've got 2 keyframes of our starting position of this and our starting position of that. And then here we've got 2 more keyframes, our finishing position of this, our finishing position of that. Now I can play that, but it's still tracked to Red Suzanne because we haven't changed that yet. But we can change that quite easily. Yeah, I just click on my camera, I change the target from Red Suzanne to my second empty. Let me rename these empties. So this is empty with camera, and this is our empty to follow. Okay, we need to start renaming stuff, yeah? We're getting too many things. So our camera now follows our empty to follow. There we go. There we go. Okay, looks nice. Looks nice. Go to camera view. Do that. Very nice. And because this line is a little bit shorter, it doesn't go past it. So it's always kind of a bit kind of, what is it, concave. Yeah, it's looking more. Here it's wider, and here it's less. Here it's less wide. Here it's narrower. So that looks good. Now, one more thing I want to do. I want to add some music to this. So I need to click down here and go to Video Sequencer. I've got all of this. Add add a sound. Now I've already got some sounds downloaded. I'll show you where in a minute. Add that sound, and it puts it here. It puts it on channel 1. Go back to my timeline. And that's how we get some music. Now, one important thing, when you come to render, there's one more thing we need to do. Okay, so your documents folder, yes, we know to change that to FFmpeg. There is something else, I think it's, where is it? Here. So it's in encoding audio. You need to change it from no audio to something else. I always pick MP3, yeah? And then when you render it, when you go render, it will render with the audio track in it. Yeah? Let's have a look. Let's make sure we don't need to change anything. Okay, very nice. Now, where did I get that audio from? I got it from here. Yeah, so I just Googled